On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, you know there's evidence that the Bitcoin network has been under sustained attack from spam. It also looks like the AlphaBay has closed down permanently, and I'm going to answer the question of whether Poloniex is having trouble with withdrawals. So all of that coming up on today's episode of the Cryptoverse. Stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity, the online school where you can learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Find out more at cryptoversity.com. Now, straight into the news for today. Is Poloniex having trouble with withdrawals? Well, yes. How do we know something is true or false, right? When someone makes a truth claim, what do? Verify it or falsify it. So the first thing that I did when I heard about this, someone claiming that that Poloniex was having trouble with withdrawals, is did a withdrawal for myself. So where I actually heard about this was I came across this article on Steemit. Some person's like, beware, Poloniex withdrawals are pending approval, blah, blah, blah. And then they claim that Poloniex might be insolvent and blah, 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 right? Yeah, whatever. That doesn't... The key thing is, can you withdraw from Poloniex, right? So what did I do? Went to my Poloniex account, initiated a withdrawal. So right here, this is the address that I requested the withdrawal to. I'll put the link in the video description so you can see if and when Poloniex actually grant this request. So this is the great thing about having a public blockchain, right? We can do these kind of community experiments transparently and in real time. So I'm going to be checking this throughout the day to see how long it takes Poloniex to grant that withdrawal. You can check it yourself if you want. You may see it before me, who knows? But I thought I'd do that and put it out there to see in real time whether it is true that it's taking sweet time to get money out of Poloniex. So check that out for yourself. Link in the video description. And the other thing I want to mention today was, moving on to the AlphaBay story. It looks like AlphaBay has actually closed down for good. Now, when we say that, why do we say that? It's closed down for good. I mean, is it good that AlphaBay is closed down? Do you know what I mean? When we say for good, we mean permanently, don't we? That just occurred to me today when we were talking about AlphaBay. You generally think that marketplaces like that sell illicit goods are not goods. And even then, we call them goods. Very strange. Anyway, a number of news outlets are reporting this. Apparently one of AlphaBay's operators was arrested in Thailand, apparently a Canadian-born person, and then once they were arrested by the Thailand police, they were later found dead in their cell, having hanged themselves. So that's kind of delightful, isn't it, right? So this is Coin Telegraph reporting on this particular story. So the guy hung himself. Because he was facing extradition to the United States, apparently. The CoinDesk article actually says that Bangkok police also impounded 4 Lamborghinis belonging to the suspect. Wow. I also read that the guy had around $11 million in assets. And AlphaBay was pulling in, what, $800,000 a day in revenue or something? It's actually in the article here. Yeah, this is a quote right here. Wall Street Journal, the daily sales ranged between $600,000 and $800,000. Wow, that's pretty sweet for a little marketplace, isn't it, right? Can't be bad. But high-risk business, clearly, because, you've got the feds after you, so it's a very interesting risk-reward ratio, is it not? Now, the question is this going to stop the selling of illicit goods online? No. It will just bring about a new generation of marketplaces that are more robust than the previous generation. You know, just like Napster gave away to Kazaa, which gave way to LimeWire, which eventually gave way to BitTorrent. And that's pretty much the end of the story because BitTorrent is pretty much unstoppable. It's just the way these things go. In truth, it's addressing the problem at the wrong end. People who want to take like illicit drugs, for example, restricting access to them isn't going to remove the desire to ingest these substances, is it? That's never going to go away. So trying to push that desire under the water, as it were, is like trying to hold a beach ball under the water. It's always going to want to bob back to the surface. So pushing it down isn't the solution. You have to address it at its root cause. Like, why do people feel the need to take these substances? Is it because they have a lack of fulfillment in life? Whatever it is, right? If there was a better means to meet whatever need that was, say if they've got a boring life and they're not fulfilled, well, why not take all of those resources that we're using to take down AlphaBay and actually remove the market? If we offered people a superior alternative to get those needs met, well then these marketplaces would fail because of lack of sales, because no one would want to take these illicit substances, which are high risk, right? They can damage your health and so on. So if somehow, I'm not going to say I had this specific solution on how you create fulfillment in people's lives, that's a whole other can of worms, but you get the point, right? Don't push back against it, because it's not going to take away people's desire to feel good. That's not going anywhere. So just constantly shutting down the marketplaces isn't going to solve the problem. Other ones will pop up as long as the demand is there. That's really the point I'm making. So I'm not endorsing the sale of illicit goods. I'm simply describing reality in terms of the history of like Napster to Kazaa to LimeWire to BitTorrent. The desire to download digital content was there. It was high demand for it. And then the market, people, developers and other entrepreneurs just filled that need. If that need goes away, the entrepreneurs will stop filling that need, right? So it's the powers at the bottom. It's the grassroots. It's the people who create the demand that then brings about the supply. That's the way it goes in a free market. So that's all I've got to say about the AlphaBay for today. You can check out that CoinDesk article in the video description if you wish. Now, moving on to the next story. Has Bitcoin been under a sustained spam attack from a big whale who people are calling online Moby Dick, Bitcoin Moby Dick? So there's a little write-up here on Twitter, which comes from this Andrew DeSantis. This is a collection of tweets from, well, his Twitter feed. I beg your pardon. Now, Andrew he's collated these tweets into a big old Twitter moment, as they called them. So what got my attention about this was it's been praised by a number of respected people in the Bitcoin space. Now, according to this data analysis that's done by the person in these tweets, Lauren MT. So you can scroll through these, and these are all the way going back in July and so on. Analysis of the Bitcoin public blockchain data and so on. So apparently someone's been spamming the Bitcoin network since July of 2015. And I suppose this has been done in an attempt to artificially raise the size of transactions and thus create pressure on the scaling debate. I mean, that's the most logical explanation to my mind. And the data that's in this Twitter moment, the data shows that a large number of UTXOs, which is an abbreviation for unspent transaction outputs. So not only does the Bitcoin network have to keep track of all unspent outputs, but if they're later spent and they have to be combined together, well, it results in a larger transaction size. And thus, that takes up more room in a block. And if your intention was to fill the Bitcoin blocks as highly as possible, to completely cram them full, to put pressure on scaling, this would be a good strategy for that, right? And the way it's been done, you have to look at the Twitter moment, but the way it's been done, the author of this says you might notice it in the beginning, but it would become the new normal and everyone would forget about it. But he's gone back in time and looked at a particular pattern where a certain transaction size of like 1,000 millibits was done repeatedly and then all combined together and so on. Now, I've noticed myself actually as a user of the Bitcoin network, and the performance of it has really improved recently. And I noticed this before I even looked into this particular story. So this story coincides with my regular checks of this website, which is Bitcoin Ticker and their stats. So this chart here in the top right, this is the Bitcoin mempool. This is the list of transactions waited to confirm. And here is all the transactions and over, how many transactions are being done per second and things like that. So you can check this out. I'll put the link in the video description. You can see more recently, looking back, what does this chart go back to? It goes back to like the 5th of July, so beginning of the month. It's a couple of weeks. And you'll see it peaks. There's only a few peaks that are anywhere near 5 megabytes, which is interesting, versus 60 to 70 megabytes, which I saw when the network was experiencing those serious delays and the transaction fees started going up, $1, $2, $3. And I've noticed more recently, since this Moby Dick fellow, person, lady, group of people that's been spamming the network, now that's calmed down, the mempool has calmed down, and now fees have returned to sanity. So I often check BTC, the mining pool, btc.com, and then you can see down here, right now, the list of unconfirmed transactions is just 5,000 transactions. Having said that, right at this moment in time, the size in terms of megabytes is 28 megabytes. That's quite a lot for 5,000 transactions, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But most importantly, you see here the current best transaction fees, 0.0004 Bitcoin. So two things there. One, that's smaller than it was. Usually it was used to be 1 millibit not that long ago. In addition to that, that value in US dollars, because the Bitcoin price has gone down, is even cheaper. So that's look at it both ways, can't you? So there we go. I'll provide all the sources as always. That's all I want to say about the Bitcoin Moby Dick spamming situation. Before I close out today, I just want to do a few shout outs. Because it's Monday, let's welcome a few new patrons that have joined over the last week. We have, I'm going to have to pronounce some names now, aren't I? Eric Gazzano, welcome. We have James Barkhauser. That one's fairly easy to pronounce. That sounds kind of German, doesn't it? Barkhauser. Daniel Rojas. It's R-O-J-A-S. Hey, I think that's someone actually re-signing up or changing their card details. Daniel's already a patron, has been one for a while. Some anonymous person with that goes by the moniker Starry, which is a weird spelling of Starry. And finally, Dennis Salaberios. There we go. Dennis Salaberios. Welcome to all those new patrons. Welcome to Cryptoversity. I'm glad that you are deciding to take your education in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain seriously. And finally, the contest for July to win a copy of The Secrets of the Bitcoin Triangle is open. Click the link in the video description, fill out 3 survey questions. You'll be in with a chance to win this course, The Secrets of the Bitcoin Triangle, where you'll learn 21 fast-track ways to make and save with Bitcoin, starting from scratch. So I'll do that every month. I'll draw the winner, the next winner, the first weekend of August. So make sure you get yourself in there. By the end of the month, I'm going to close this off so it won't accept new entrants after that time. So good luck to everyone who's joined already and to everyone who's going to join after that invitation I just gave you. So thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you like this episode, hit that like button. If you really like what you heard, there's plenty more where that came from. So subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you want access to my best stuff, check out cryptoversity.com. Alright, that's all for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.